If your yard keeps attracting snakes, stop Googling which plants to remove. That's the wrong approach. There are 3 specific zones inviting them in, and Zone 1 is completely non-negotiable. I'm not here to scare you. I've spent time going through the research on how snakes actually choose a yard, and the answer surprised me. It's not the plants themselves. It's what those plants do to the microclimate around your home. Think about it this way. A snake doesn't read a field guide. It doesn't know the Latin name of your English ivy. What it knows is this. That patch of ground is cool, dark, humid, and full of things to eat. That's the decision every time. Once you understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing a list of names. You start reading your yard like a map. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how. No special tools required. Takes about 20 minutes to walk your first zone. Here's what the research tells us. Snakes need 3 things: cover from predators, moisture regulation, and prey. That's it. 3 things. A study on black rat snakes, one of the most common yard snakes in the eastern United States, found that snakes under dense cover maintain a body temperature within just a few degrees of what they need to hunt effectively. That cover is not a hiding place. It's a thermal management system. The plant is doing the snake a favor it never asked for. So snakes are not attracted to your English ivy because it's English ivy. They're attracted to it because it creates cool, damp, dark conditions right at ground level. Any plant that does that is functionally a snake invitation. Any plant that doesn't, isn't. But here's the truth. This means you don't need to memorize a list. You need to understand a system. Work smarter, not harder. And that system has 3 zones. Zone 1 is the 12 to 18 inches immediately around your home's foundation. This is the highest risk zone, and most homeowners have never thought about it this way. Walk your foundation line right now in your mind. What's there? If you have English ivy, you have a problem. Ivy creates a dense, moist mat at ground level. It blocks light. It traps humidity, and it stays cool even on the hottest days. Herpetologists describe it as ideal thermal cover. Jason Clark of Southeastern Reptile Rescue put it simply when snakes wander into a yard and find ivy. Juniper or monkey grass, it makes an easy hiding place. One important note if you have dogs or cats. English ivy is highly toxic to both. Lemongrass, which we'll cover in Zone 3, can cause digestive upset in pets if eaten in large amounts. If your animals roam freely, double-check placement before you plant anything new near your foundation. When in doubt, your local extension office can advise on pet-safe alternatives for your specific region. Dense liriope is the same story. It forms a perfect corridor along a foundation. Snakes don't need to cross open ground. They follow the liriope border like a highway, right to your door. Thick mulch compounds the problem. Mulch, deeper than 2 to 3 inches, acts as insulation. In winter, it becomes prime overwintering territory. So what do? Start with the daylight test. It takes about 5 minutes per side of your house. Get down at ground level and look at the base of every shrub near your home. Can you see light underneath? If branches touch the soil, prune them up at least 6 inches. Research indicates snakes typically avoid crossing ground where they feel exposed. The daylight test removes that cover in 1 step. Remove or thin any ground cover within 12 to 18 inches of the foundation. Replace it with an open gravel border. Snakes dislike rough, exposed surfaces. A clean gravel lime is one of the most consistently recommended Zone 1 fixes from both university extension programs and wildlife professionals. If you want to add plants to Zone 1 corners, rosemary and lemongrass are worth considering. Research suggests these plants contain compounds camphor and cineole in rosemary, citral in lemongrass, that may help deter snakes. A US patent for natural snake repellents specifically lists rosemary essential oil compounds among the tested ingredients. I want to be clear. This does not mean a rosemary plant will guarantee a snake-free zone. But planted at corners, not massed into ground cover, it may add an aromatic layer that snakes find unwelcoming. The key word there is planted at corners, not massed. A dense rosemary ground cover defeats the purpose. You need open base, not coverage. Once Zone 1 is addressed, you've removed the welcome mat. But if Zone 2 is still a problem, snakes will find a way to linger just outside that perimeter and eventually find a gap. Zone 2 is the middle of your garden. Shrubs, ornamental grasses, raised beds, compost piles. This is where most homeowners accumulate what wildlife researchers call structural complexity. That's a polite way of saying perfect snake habitat. Let's start with ornamental grasses. Pampas grass and maiden grass are beautiful silver plumes catching the afternoon light movement in the wind. They're also among the most frequently documented snake habitat plants in residential gardens. Their bases grow so dense that the interior stays cool, dark, and protected year-round, not just as a hiding place, as a nest. A single neglected clump of pampas grass can shelter a snake from January through December without interruption. Thick juniper shrubs with branches that drag the ground are the same. You can't see what's underneath. Neither can the snake's predators. That's exactly what it's looking for. And star jasmine, gorgeous, fragrant. Those small white flowers, like scattered stars, attract the insects and small rodents that snakes eat. You're not just providing shelter, you're providing room service. Spring is the critical season for Zone 2. That's when snakes emerge from overwintering sites and begin moving. If your mid-garden has debris piles and unpruned shrubs going into March, you're handing them a ready-made summer residence. Here's what to do in Zone 2. Lift the skirt. On every shrub near your garden, prune the lowest 6 to 8 inches. Create visible open space between the soil and the first branch. This single step, no products, no chemicals, just a pair of pruning shears, reduces shelter dramatically. Separate your ornamental grasses. Instead of massing them together into a solid bank, plant individual clumps with low open flowers in between. You keep the visual interest. You remove the continuous cover. Clear any debris piles within 20 feet of the house. Wood piles, leaf piles, stacked pots, old lumber. These are hibernation sites. Move them to the far edges of your property, or better yet, eliminate them. Keep grass mowed short near your garden edges. Snakes do not like crossing open shortcut ground. They feel exposed. They will choose the yard next door. Zone 3 is your property perimeter. The fence line, the back border the edge, where your yard meets the outside world. This is where snakes enter. And it's the one zone where you have the most power to act offensively, not just defensively. This is where you build what I call a living fence. A living fence is not a thick hedge. A thick hedge creates ground-level cover and defeats the purpose. A living fence is a layered aromatic border designed to make your perimeter smell like somewhere snakes would rather not cross. On a hot July afternoon, A well-planted rosemary hedge releases its oils into the air in waves, sharp, resinous, unmistakable. That's not just a pleasant garden scent, that's chemistry working for you. 3 plants do this work. First, rosemary. Plant it along your fence line in clumps, spaced 2 to 3 feet apart. Keep the base pruned open. As it grows into a hedge, you get height and density above, but keep the base clear of ground cover. Rosemary releases its volatile compounds continuously, especially in heat. Based on snake-repellent research, the camphor and cineole in rosemary may create an olfactory barrier that snakes find aversive. This is not a guarantee. It's a layer in a system. Second, lemongrass. Lemongrass grows in tall, upright clumps, 4 to 6 feet, with no ground-spreading mat. That's important. It releases citral, a strong, volatile compound which some research associates with deterring snakes. The evidence here is limited and inconsistent, so treat it as one element of your border system, not a single solution. One critical note on lemongrass and climate. In USDA hardiness zones 10 and 11, lemongrass is a true perennial. It comes back every year without any intervention. In zone 9 and below, it will not survive a frost. Treat it as an annual, or grow it in a container you bring in before temperatures drop. Third, marigolds. Plant them 6 inches apart along the base of your fence line. Marigolds do not directly repel snakes, but peer-reviewed research published in Biology Open found that the compound alpha-terthionenyl secreted from marigold roots kills nematodes and disrupts the insect populations in the soil. Fewer soil insects means fewer prey animals, means fewer reasons for a snake to cross your fence line. Marigolds work at the bottom of the food chain, and that's where snake control actually starts. So let's bring this together. Picture your yard from above. 3 rings working outward from your home. Zone 1 is the red zone, your foundation perimeter. This is where the risk is highest and the fix is fastest. Clear ground cover. Lay a gravel border. Apply the daylight test to every shrub. No massed plantings within 18 inches of your home. You are removing every thermal refuge within striking distance of your door. Zone 2 is the yellow zone, your mid-garden. This is where snakes establish themselves if Zone 1 doesn't stop them. Lift the skirt on all shrubs. Separate ornamental grasses. Clear debris before spring. Mow edges short. You are removing the structural complexity that makes your mid-garden livable for something you don't want living there. Zone 3 is the green zone, your perimeter. This is your active defense line. Rosemary clumps, lemongrass columns, marigold base, planting all with open ground beneath them. Not a wall, a scented barrier that works with heat, with rain, with the seasons. Walk your yard with that map in mind. Start at the foundation. Work outward. You are not asking which plants to remove. You are asking one question at every point: does this create cover, moisture and prey access? If yes, that's what you address. And the thing that separates gardeners who solve this problem from those who don't is exactly that shift from chasing a list to reading a system. Most people fix Zone 1 in a weekend. Zone 2 takes a season of habit pruning shears, out every spring debris cleared before March, edges mowed consistently. Zone 3 is a one-time planting investment that compounds over years as the rosemary hedge fills in and the marigold border establishes itself. The effort front-loads into year 1. After that, the system works with very little from you. That's genuinely the smarter approach. You don't need to tear out your garden to make it less inviting to snakes. You need to redesign 3 edges. Start this weekend with Zone 1. Walk your foundation line slowly. One full lap around the house. Look for anything touching the structure within 18 inches. Ground cover creeping up the siding. Dense shrubs with no daylight at the base. Mulch piled thick against the wall. That's your first 20 minutes. No special equipment, just your eyes and a pair of gloves. And if you have kids or pets, that 20 minutes is the highest value gardening you will do all year. One honest note before we close. These strategies reduce the conditions that snakes look for in a yard. They do not guarantee a snake-free property. If you are dealing with a serious snake problem, especially venomous species, please contact a licensed wildlife professional in your area. That is always the right tool for that situation. So, which zone are you tackling first? Tell me in the comments. And if you garden smarter, not harder, subscribe. That's what this channel is built for.